Chapter 2, Section 1, Biotalk, Adaptation. Diversity is a striking feature of living organisms. There are countless types of organisms on Earth. They are the result of repeated formation of new species and adaptation. There is a type of organism that can live in almost every type of environment on Earth. Living organisms are unique in their ability to adapt. The accumulation of characteristics that improve a species' ability to survive and reproduce is called adaptation. Adaptation occurs over long time periods. It is the environment that selects the best and most useful inherited variations. In this activity, you observed just a few of the large number of adaptations that exist. Animals adapt to the demands of their environments. Let me scroll down a little bit so we can see all this. Animals adapt to the demands of their environments. Animals cannot make their own food. Therefore, they must usually seek food. As a result, adaptations that allow animals to move are favorable. Movement is easier if the organism is elongated in the direction of movement. Fish, for example, are streamlined. This reduces water resistance as they swim. It is also easier to move if the sensory organs are concentrated in the head. The organs that detect food, light, and other stimuli should be in a position to meet the environment first. An organism can move more easily if it has a balanced body. Animals have the type of body plan that is best suited to their lifestyle. The symmetry of an organism gives clues to its complexity and evolutionary development. Higher animals, including humans, are symmetrical along the mid-sagittal plane. This body plan is referred to as bilateral symmetry, in which the right and left halves of the organism are mirror images of each other. Some animals, however, are radially symmetric or symmetric about a central axis. How is body symmetry related to the speed at which an animal moves and to brain development? In general, animals that display radial symmetry are not highly adapted for movement. One explanation for the slower movement can be traced to the fact that no one region always leads. Only bilaterally symmetrical animals have a true head region. Because the head or anterior region always enters a new environment first, nerve cells tend to concentrate in this area. The concentration of nerve tissue at the anterior end of an animal's body is an adaptation that enables the rapid processing of stimuli, such as food or danger. Not surprisingly, the faster the animal moves, the more important is the immediate processing of environmental information. Every environment places special demands on the organisms living there. Seawater is fairly uniform. It poses the least stress for animal life. Oxygen is usually adequate. The temperatures and salt content are fairly constant. There is little danger that the organism will dry up. In contrast, the salt and oxygen contents of fresh water vary greatly. The jellyfish is a group of structurally simple marine organisms. The jellyfish has no head and a nervous system without a brain. The body exhibits radial symmetry. Organisms that live in water have special adaptations. Gills, for example, allow the organisms to use oxygen found in water. On land, oxygen is plentiful. However, the organisms that live there must protect themselves from the dangers of drying up. These dangers increase greatly because air temperatures change daily and seasonally. Air does not provide the same buoyancy as water. Therefore, large terrestrial or land-dwelling animals require good supportive structures. On the other hand, there is less resistance to movement in air than water. Arms and legs, which would hinder an animal's movement in water, may help on land. Thus, long appendages, specialized for locomotion, have evolved in terrestrial animals. Plant adaptations. Plants lack the ability to move and must survive in the environment in which they are living. A plant must do more than simply survive and grow bigger. It must grow in such a way that it can take the best advantage of the light, water, and other conditions available to it. Desert plants are an excellent example of adaptation to an environment. Some have a thick, waxy coating to prevent them from drying out. Some have long vertical roots, enabling a plant to reach water sources beneath the soil. Others develop shallow roots that extend horizontally. This maximizes water absorption at the surface. Many desert plants have small and narrow leaves. This decreases the heating from the sun. Even though plants are not able to move, they are still able to disperse. They produce seeds and fruits or other reproductive structures that may be distributed far from the parent plant. Some plant adaptations are also behavioral. A vine spreads its leaves outward and receives as much light energy as possible. It sends its roots downward and receives more water. Tendrils of a vine touch an object and quickly coil it. This secures the vine in its upward growth. A vine would not live very long if it did not send its roots downward and its stem upward. The manner of plant growth is believed to be governed chiefly by hormones that are produced within the plant. The hormones are produced in response to conditions around the plant, such as sunlight and gravity. Thus, the plant can fit itself to the environment in which it lives. So here's the caption for the photo on vines and tendrils. Tendrils are modified stems or leaves that wrap around a support. They enable the plant to achieve fairly extensive horizontal and vertical spread without the use of much energy, since they don't have to support their own weight. Tendrils seem to respond to touch, so if the stem or tendril touches an object, it wraps around it. This response is known as thigmotropism. Some plants have even become adapted to feeding on animals. In this activity, you looked at the Venus flytrap. Its leaves have been adapted to capture prey. These plants do photosynthesize. However, these plants live in bogs where there is very little nitrogen available. Therefore, they require the nutrients they receive from digesting their prey. Of course, the plant must therefore also be adapted to digest its prey with the secretion of chemicals.